Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
The 1949 dissertation, Non-Cooperative Games, I. John Forbes Nash, Jr. stands as a document of profound conceptual economy and enduring analytical power. It functions less as a sprawling treatise and more as a concentrated intellectual detonation, a work whose slender page count belies the immense theoretical landscape it permanently reconfigured. The paper presents a framework for analyzing strategic interactions where individuals act independently, a stark and clarifying departure from the prevailing emphasis on coalitions and binding agreements. This essay undertakes a rigorous evaluation of the work's primary claims, proceeding sequentially through the core tenets of its argument. The analysis focuses with surgical precision on the internal logic, the methodological assumptions, and the conceptual architecture presented by Nash, assessing the validity and implications of his propositions as they were originally forwarded. The objective is to map the skeletal structure of this revolutionary idea, examining each bone and joint to understand the strength of the whole, appreciating its elegant form while acknowledging the intellectual burdens it places upon those who would use Section 1 the foundational distinction and postulate of rationality. The work commences by positing fundamental theoretical structure for analyzing strategic conflict and mutual interest. Nash's initial and most critical claim is the analytical primacy of the non-cooperative model. He forwards the idea that any cooperative game, one characterized by enforceable agreements and joint action, can be fully understood by modeling the pro-game negotiations and enforcement mechanisms as a larger, more detailed non-cooperative game. This assertion effectively subordinates the entire field of cooperative game theory, as developed by John von Neumann and Oskar Morgenstern, to a more elemental form of analysis. The claim is one of universality. It proposes that the bedrock of all strategic interaction is the individual agent, optimizing their outcome based on their expectations of what other individual agents will do. The analysis of this work must therefore begin with an evaluation of this foundational premise. Its power lies in its parsimony. It requires a single, unified theory of rational action to explain the full spectrum of human strategic behavior, from simple bargaining to complex market dynamics. The evidence for this claim is conceptual and axiomatic. Nash provides a logical argument that communication, bargaining, and coalition formation are themselves strategic actions, with associated costs and benefits that can be incorporated into a player's set of available moves. This reframing is a masterstroke of theoretical elegance. The methodology relies on a specific and demanding model of the human agent. Each player is presumed to be rational, meaning they possess a complete and transitive set of preferences and will always choose the action that maximizes their personal payoff, as defined by utility function. This idealized rationality is the engine of the entire system. Critiques of this premise often focus on its descriptive accuracy, yet within the closed logical system of the dissertation, this assumption is presented as a necessary axiom for building a tractable and predictive mathematical theory. The work's initial section thus makes a bold claim of theoretical dominion, arguing that the intricate world of treaties and alliances can be resolved into the simpler, more powerful calculus of individual choice. Section 2 the formal architecture of a finite in-person game. Following the establishment of his philosophical approach, Nash proceeds to construct the formal mathematical apparatus for his model. The central claim of this section is that any strategic situation involving a finite number of players, each with a finite set of discrete actions, can be abstracted and represented by a specific, well-defined mathematical object. This claim is one of powerful generalization. The framework consists of three core components. First, a set of players, indexed from 1 to n. Second, for each player I, a finite set of available pure strategies. A pure strategy is a complete plan of action, specifying a deterministic choice in every conceivable situation. Third, a payoff function for each player, which assigns a real number, representing utility, to every possible combination of strategies chosen by all players. The lucidity of this structure is one of its most compelling attributes. It strips a potentially messy real-world scenario of its narrative complexity and renders it as a pure set of incentives and choices. Nash then introduces the crucial concept of a mixed strategy. A mixed strategy is defined as a probability distribution over a player's set of pure strategies. The claim here is that rational players can and will randomize their choices according to specific probabilities to optimize their outcomes, particularly in situations where a deterministic choice would be easily exploited. For example, a player might choose to play strategy A with probability 1/3 and strategy B with probability 2/3. The payoff to a mixed strategy is calculated as the expected value of the payoffs of the underlying pure strategies, weighted by their respective probabilities. The introduction of mixed strategies is a vital methodological step. It transforms the discrete set of strategy profiles into a continuous space, a convex, compact set amenable to the tools of advanced calculus and topology. The evaluation of this formalization hinges on its completeness and its assumptions. The framework presumes that all relevant aspects of a strategic interaction, including players' preferences and available actions, can be quantitatively specified in advance. It embodies a claim that the essential logic of a conflict or negotiation can be captured in a matrix of numbers. This reductionist approach is the source of the theory's analytical traction, allowing for precise mathematical statements where only vague verbal arguments previously existed. The architecture itself is logically flawless. Its applicability to any given real-world situation, however, depends entirely on the fidelity with which that situation can be translated into these formal terms. Section 3. The conceptual core. The equilibrium point. Having built the formal stage, Nash introduces the star of the show, the equilibrium point, a concept now universally known as the Nash equilibrium. This is the dissertation's most celebrated and defining contribution. The core claim is the existence and significance of a specific type of solution for any game defined within his framework. An equilibrium point is a profile of strategies, one for each of the n players, with the property that no single player can obtain a better payoff by unilaterally changing their own strategy, while all other players keep their strategies unchanged. This is a claim about stability and self-enforcement. An equilibrium represents a state of rest, a set of mutual best responses where each player's choice is the optimal answer to the choices of others. The logic is deeply compelling and possesses an almost common-sense appeal once grasped. If a set of strategies is an equilibrium, no player has an incentive to deviate. Therefore, if rational players can deduce its location, they should be expected to play it. The work presents this concept as the natural solution to a non-cooperative game. The methodology for identifying an equilibrium is analytical. For any given game matrix, one can inspect each outcome and test whether the condition of unilateral deviation holds. The power of the claim lies in its predictive aspiration. It suggests that, for a given strategic environment, a specific outcome or set of outcomes can be identified as the rational expectation. Consider a simple coordination game where two drivers approach each other on a road. There are two equilibria: both drive on the right, or both drive on the left. The equilibrium concept correctly identifies the stable outcomes are those where both players coordinate, and any other combination is unstable because at least one driver would have an incentive to switch. The evaluation of this central concept must acknowledge its elegance, while also probing its implicit demands. The very idea of an equilibrium assumes that players possess a high degree of cognitive ability. They must be able to think through the incentives of all other players and identify the point of mutual best response. It also introduces a potential ambiguity. Some games possess multiple equilibria. The dissertation provides the concept of the equilibrium point but it offers a less developed account of how players might coordinate on one specific equilibrium among several possibilities. This selection problem became a major area of subsequent research, but within the 1949 work, the primary claim is simply the definition and central importance of this stable state. It is a disarmingly simple idea that provides a powerful lens for viewing an immense variety of social and economic phenomena. Section 4. The mathematical guarantee. The existence proof, a concept, however elegant, requires a demonstration of its general applicability to become a truly powerful scientific tool. The most technically profound claim in Nash's dissertation is that every finite non-cooperative n-person game possesses at least one equilibrium point, if one allows for mixed strategies. This is a claim of existence and universality. It guarantees that the equilibrium concept is not an empty or occasional feature of certain specialized games, but a fundamental property of all games within his broad classification. The proof of this claim is the mathematical heart of the dissertation and represents a landmark achievement in economic theory. The methodology employed is a brilliant application of fixed-point theorems from topology, specifically the Brouwer fixed-point theorem or its more general cousin, the Kakutani fixed-point theorem. Nash's argument, in its conceptual essence, is a piece of beautiful mathematical theatre. He first defines a continuous mapping, a function that takes as its input a complete profile of every player's strategy. The output of this function is a new strategy profile, where each player's new strategy is the best response to the other player's original strategies. More precisely, the mapping points towards strategies that would have yielded a higher payoff. A fixed point of this mapping is a point that is mapped onto itself in the context of the game. A fixed point is a strategy profile where every player's best response to the other's strategies is the very strategy they are already playing. This condition is, by definition, a Nash equilibrium. Brouwer's theorem states that any continuous function from a compact, convex set to itself must have at least one fixed point. Nash demonstrated that the set of all possible mixed strategy profiles forms such a compact, convex set, and that the best response mapping he constructed is continuous. The conclusion is therefore inescapable. An equilibrium point must exist. The evaluation of this claim is an appreciation of its logical rigor and its immense consequence. The proof provides absolute certainty that the solution concept Nash proposed is always relevant. It assures the theorist that for any well-defined finite game, a search for a Nash equilibrium will never be in vain. This mathematical guarantee elevated game theory from a collection of interesting examples and special cases to a systematic and comprehensive field of inquiry. The claim is unassailable on mathematical grounds. Its implications, however, are vast. It solidifies the non-cooperative framework as a complete analytical system, capable of providing a definite solution concept for any problem posed in its language. Section 5. Properties, interpretations, and unresolved complexities in the final portions of his work. Nash explores the properties and interpretations of the equilibrium concept he has established. The claims in this section are more interpretive and less formal, dealing with the meaning and application of his findings. One critical area of discussion pertains to the value of a game. In the zero-sum games of von Neumann and Morgenstern, the value of the game is a clear, unambiguous number representing the guaranteed gain for one player and the corresponding loss for the other. Nash claims that for zero-sum, non-cooperative games, this simple notion of value becomes multifaceted. An equilibrium point yields a specific payoff for each player, but different equilibria in the same game can yield vastly different payoffs. There is no single value of the game, but rather an equilibrium payoff vector associated with each stable point. This introduces a significant layer of complexity. The framework guarantees an equilibrium exists, but it does not tell us which one will be chosen or what the ultimate payoffs will be if multiple such points exist. This is a candid acknowledgement of the limits of the theory's predictive power in certain situations. Another crucial interpretation centers on the rationality assumption. Nash's model is often called a model of perfectly rational players. However, he also offers an alternative interpretation, which he terms the mass action interpretation. In this view, one can imagine a population of players for each role in the game. Players are drawn randomly from these populations and are not necessarily hyper-rational. They may instead adjust their strategies over time based on the empirical success rates of various actions. An equilibrium, in this interpretation, corresponds to a stable state where the distribution of strategies in the population ceases to change because, on the average, no strategy provides a better return than the others in the current mix. This interpretation makes a weaker claim about individual rationality and instead posits a population-level dynamic. It was a remarkably prescient idea, anticipating the development of evolutionary game theory by several decades. Evaluating this section reveals Nash's awareness of the conceptual difficulties his own theory created. The problem of multiple equilibria and the demanding nature of the rationality assumption are addressed directly. His proposal of the mass action interpretation is a brilliant methodological hedge, suggesting that the formal structure of the equilibrium can be meaningful even if one relaxes the strong assumptions about individual cognition. This part of the work shows a theorist grappling with the full implications of his creation, identifying the very questions that would animate the field for the rest of the century. Conclusion. In summary, John Nash's Non-Cooperative Games is a work of extraordinary intellectual leverage, effecting a paradigm shift with a minimum of conceptual components. The dissertation's claims, evaluated in sequence, build a robust and compelling logical edifice. It begins with the audacious claim that the non-cooperative framework is fundamental, proceeds to define the formal architecture of any finite strategic interaction, introduces the brilliantly intuitive concept of the equilibrium point, and provides a rigorous mathematical proof of that point's universal existence. The work's internal logic is nearly flawless, with each step following from the last with deductive precision. The power of its central claims, particularly the existence of a stable solution concept for all finite games, provided a foundation upon which a vast and diverse body of modern economic and social science has been built. The evaluation also reveals the inherent limitations born from its own elegant structure. The framework makes profound demands on the concept of rationality and cedes predictive precision in the face of multiple equilibria. Nash himself acknowledged these complexities, pointing toward alternative interpretations and future research pathways. The true measure of the dissertation lies in its generative capacity. The claims made within its pages constructed a new grammar for discussing strategy, conflict, and cooperation. It furnished a set of tools so powerful and so general that they became indispensable across disciplines, from economics and political science to biology and computer science. The work's genius is located not only in the answers it provides but in the clarity and depth of the questions it enables us to ask. It remains a testament to the power of pure thought to distill the intricate dance of human interaction into a form that is at once simple, beautiful, and profoundly insightful.
We really appreciate you tuning in to this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.